Ghosal. I head the HR department for Josh Software. And today, for the next 15-20 minutes, I'm going to talk about effective communication as a means of increasing the employability. How many of you know the meaning of employability? Do you know what is employability? Anyone? Any wild guess? At the back? I'm sorry, come again?
The chance of getting employed.
The chance of getting employed. What's your name, ma'am?
Trisha.
Trisha. Excellent, Trisha. So, the chance of getting employed is employability. Or if I have to put it in a more refined form, the factors that influence your employment. Anywhere. Be it Joe Software, be it your dream organization, anywhere. Right? Now, how does communication help? Or rather, effective communication helps. Now, before even going there, can you tell me what are the factors, apart from communication, that helps to get you an employment? Anywhere. Skills? What skills? Technical skills? You're all engineers here, right? Technical skills? What else? Soft skills. Somebody. And how do you further bifurcate soft skills? What are the factors? Come in, folks, come in. What are the factors that influences soft skills, or what are soft skills consist of? When you get into an organization, do you work alone or you work with a team? Team, correct? Team. So team dynamics, interpersonal skills, the way you deal with the team, with your colleagues, with your supervisors, and the way you communicate with them. Whether we like it or not, communication is the make or break of your chances of getting employed in an organization, and thereby keep on increasing the rate of employability. Now, what I mean by that, think about it. You go to an organization, you start coding. You don't do anything else, you start coding. What will happen? You excel at your work, right? But then, the moment your boss or the client asks you to explain what have you coded, what happens? You just have your coding to show, nothing else. Will it help? No, correct? So what will help? The fact that you communicate effectively to make the other person understand your work. Now imagine another situation. All of you folks should be appearing for your campus this year, next year. What do you think is the most important element or the factor that gets you a job in your dream company? Apart from the fact that you have an excellent skills, you are master of your skills. Computer science, engineering, whatever is your skill set, mechanical engineering. Well, it is the ability to communicate whatever you know effectively. That is the makeup. That explains why do you have group discussions as a selection round. Most of us, we go through group discussions, right? What is tested there? Your ability to communicate effectively. There are two factors out of my experience that will help you get instant gratification or instant acknowledgement or identification, or you would stand out of the crowd. Two mantras that I'm going to discuss today. Now, the first mantra is storifying your communication. Have you heard about this concept called storifying, this word? I'm not talking about fortifying. I'm talking about storifying. S-T-O-R-I-F-Y-I. Storifying. Let me tell you a story, guys. It was 2007. I was working for a small IT firm, and I got an opportunity to get interviewed by one of the larger organizations through some referral. Right? So it was a walk-in interview. I just passed out from my B school, MBA college, and I was working in a small IT firm. So I went to that organization. It was walk-in, and my CV got selected. I went there. One night before, I brushed up all my HR skills. I'm basically a graduate in human resource, a postgraduate in human resource, right? Back in 2006. I went to that organization. I prepared myself with all the latest HR technologies. What is performance management? What is HRMS? Recruitment, selection, talent acquisition, everything. There were a bunch of students with me, or rather aspirants there with me who were there. And one of them was Rajesh. I still remember him, and he's one of my best friends now. We are still in touch. So I was called, and Rajesh was very relaxed. I sort of was nervous. Everybody was nervous, and I was also going through my CV, as to what questions would they ask. I was very prepared, and I was called for the interview. I went to the interview. I gave it my best shot. They asked me questions. I did not stop. I continuously spoke about my achievements and about what I have done for the past 1 year, what I have studied and stuff. And when I came out of the room, I was confident of getting the job. But they selected Rajesh. Oops. I was so sure of getting selected. I gave all the answers to their questions. And yet they selected Rajesh. After the interviews were over, we were like, I went to Rajesh. By that time, I'd made good friends with him. So I went there and I asked him, hey, dude, what different did you say? And you know what he said? He told me, I gave them stories. I said, what stories? I said, yes. He said, yes, stories. Stories about what are skills and competencies that he possesses that would solve their problem. Stories about how he, as a professional, can help them resolve their work issues. Be it attrition, be it retention, be it establishing a performance management system via stories about his success and failures in the previous organizations and during his course of employment so far or studies. For the first time I heard this, so what he said that I storified my way to the organization. I said, wow, storified your way? Wow, that's a concept. That I learned one concept, storifying. So, you know what it is? There is one thing which is unique or common between all of us. Or rather, I would say not common, but unique in each one of us. You know what that is? That is our own story. Nobody else has the same feelings, has the same behavior, has the same experience as you have. And the moment you highlight that via a story to the other person, you immediately stand out of the crowd. Immediately. Like every individual, every organization, every company, every product, every idea has a story that makes it unique. Microsoft had its own story of creating MS Office. Google had its own story, which they highlighted and they became famous. They stood out of the crowd. So in other words, you have what it takes to make it to the final. All you need is to storify and present it in a mode that will differentiate you or make you stand apart from the crowd. Now, this is not a new concept. The fact that storytelling leads to success or storytelling should be an important aspect of our communication is known. Correct? But what we do not know is that there is an advanced level to this. And that is my point, mantra number 2. If storytelling inspires, story showing transforms. I'll repeat. If storytelling inspires, story showing transforms. Story showing is nothing but your non-verbal gesture that clubs with your verbal communication and helps to present your ideas in a more effective manner. Something that immediately puts you away from the crowd. something which everybody notices, something that makes your ideas more effective. Now, what does the concept of story showing basically means? Story showing is nothing but showing the vulnerability or the feelings behind the facts that you present. So it's the facts wrapped in the emotions or the vulnerability of your communication and presented. How many of you have ever appeared as a part of this admission process? How many of you have ever appeared for a group discussion? Anyone? Have you at least experienced a group discussion? Okay, we'll forget about group discussion. You're aware with theaters, right? Movies, I'm sure all of you at one point of time or the other have watched movies, right? Now, what is it that you like? We always talk about dialogues. Look at the dialogue. What a punch in the dialogue. Correct? What we also talk about is the scene. यार कितना emotional the scene था. उसमें तो dialogue नहीं था, but it hit you. Why? Because of story show. The actor, the actress, instead of talking out the dialogue through the means of gesture, creates the same aura or effectiveness that is more effective than by talking a dialogue. So, story showing. This second important mantra. We all know how important it is in today's world to present our ideas. All of us. It's a crowd out there, guys. And how many of you are there? 100, 200, 300? Go to corporates. Go to any organizations. Or tomorrow you'll appear for interviews. Now the recruiter will think, what is the value time that should be given to you? Because one person at a time can only, let's say, evaluate 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. How would that person, because that person also, when I say person, the recruiter basically also is looking for that right candidate. How does the recruiter figure out? Same skills, same competencies, let's say same CGPA, same percentage of marks. What differentiates you from the rest? The fact, how do you present your story? How do you show your story? I came from an XYZ background, and I was able to establish myself. When I say I'm just trying to make you understand how do you present it. I came from an XYZ place. I struggled, or rather I made myself or molded myself to be an excellent employee, or let's say an excellent engineer in your case, by going to the extra mile, and these are my achievements. This is how I am going to help you solve your problem. This will determine whether you get, or whether this will determine the employment quotient or the employability per se. So very important, friends, that you exhibit the right kind of gesture, the right kind of showing of your emotions and vulnerability and your achievements when you talk about yourself, when you talk about your achievements. Now, I was, day before yesterday, I was attending one mock interview. I was actually guiding a couple of students in one of the colleges for mock interviews, and there I spoke about a concept. Now, suppose, just to give you a more hint or more insights into what is the concept of stories and how do you get into that elevator pitch per se when you talk about yourself, is this, that imagine, all of you, imagine you go into a place, a restaurant or a hotel, a 5-star hotel, and you're just standing outside the elevator, and you enter the elevator, and guess who is there inside the elevator? Mr. Ratanta. And he looks at you and says, hello. You're surprised, you're like, dumbfold, what to say? Who are you? He says, who are you? And he looks at which floor the lift is. He would climb down, let's say at the 6th or the 7th floor. You have 30 seconds to talk about who are you. What will you talk about? How will you talk about? In a way that you have been remembered by him. That will determine whether you have been remembered by him or not. Now, when I say Ratan Tata, just give you an example. Tomorrow, you have been called upon for an interview and you are asked the question, tell me something about yourself. What elevator pitch, what story will you present about yourself that will make or break your employment or chances of getting into the college or institution? Will depend upon how do you storify your achievements and how do you present it. Friends, we no longer need economists or leaders to show us only graphs that the Indian economy or the inflation is this much. We need the requisite emotions and the vulnerability and the feelings from that particular leader or the economist that helps us also to show the way ahead. We no longer need orators who just talks or gives information without any emotions behind it, because such informations will hit your ears and will pass on to the other ear and it will float in the air just like any other information. We don't need stories that will hit the brick and not have any influence. We need people to not only tell stories, but show the emotions behind the stories and transform this nation and transform their lives and the lives of others for good. Because this is the way in which you distinguish yourself from the rest of the crowd and emerge as somebody who's employable. And trust me, friends, it is not only employable in the corporates or the government, but employable in your personal life also. So these are the two mantras that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, let's say if I have to talk about myself. Hi, my name is Piyush Ghosal. I have done my MBA from Sri Balaji Institute of Management, and I have my first employment was at KPIT, and then after that I moved to TCS, and now I'm working for Joe Shopper. This is storytelling or proudly telling. Be practical. But hey, my name is Piyush Ghosal. I have had an experience of 16 years in which I've worked with variety of organizations. I had an opportunity to work at cross-cultural and different geographies also. As an HR professional, my experiences ranges from giving solutions on creating an HRMS system to getting employees signed up for a 360-degree appraisal, blah, 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 blah. ऐसा अगर हम बोलेंगे, if we talk like this, that will be more impactful. Now, it's all about being employable in this crowd, standing out or getting identified as a different individual so that the other person gets that necessary kick. And if it is, which means that if it is a recruiter selects you, if it is a buyer buys your product, if it is a team becomes loyal to you, or if it is a bunch of followers who follows you. Make sense? Yeah? Now, the concept of story showing has variety of factors in it. Now, most of you would wonder what it is. Non-verbal gesture. Now, you can go and Google it. But using the proper connotations or the bodily gestures are very important. That goes a long way in creating a lasting impact in your communication. There are a variety of factors. First and foremost, which is why I deliberately did not want to use the mic. I wanted to reach and show you the kind of voice modulation which is used to create the desired impact. You create a voice modulation. How many of you have heard, most of our politicians, how do they speak? They know the concept of story showing very well. Because for them, attracting our votes is important, right? And one way of doing it is not only to state facts. That fact can be stated by anybody, right? Economy has moved like this, inflation is like this, we are doing this, we are making new roads and all. But just notice or observe the way they talk, the way they give the so-called bhashan or speech. We call it nautanki sometimes, correct? But trust me, it is more than nautanki. It is what is called story show. And that creates the proper or the required charisma that attracts you and transforms you. Storytelling or being practical merely might inspire you. But if you want to call for action, story show is the means of communication. For us and for you folks sitting here, that is a very powerful tool to get your employment quotient high. It's very important that you mold your facts in a story. And don't tell me that you do not have any story to say. All of us have. Since childhood. None of the organizations are coming to recruit you for your skills. They have hundreds of them. And it can be trained. What they're looking for is, how are you going to solve their problems? Do you have what it takes to move their organization to the next level? And that cannot happen by you merely telling out the facts. You have to tell how would you solve their problems. And for that, you have to mix or you have to create the facts to wrap it via the requisite emotions and the achievements that you have. Right? So that is important. And that is an art, not very difficult to learn, but you just need to introspect and try to create that or come up with a story in whatever important communications that you do. You would automatically get into it. It's after all a question about your employment. More than employment, how do you deal with life at your later stages? How well do you shoulder the responsibilities? Yeah? So with that, if there are no questions, I would want to end. Yes. Your name, please.
So good morning, sir. My name is Shreyash.
Shreyash. Yes, Shreyash.
So my question is, if you are HR and if you are recruiting me.
No, I'm not an HR. I am an HR. Yes.
Okay. Sir, if you are an HR and you are recruiting me, what are the key elements you look in my story that you will think I am eligible for this XYZ post?
How unique you are. How unique you are. That's the first thing that I'll note. How unique you are. Do you know, back in the 90s, and even now it has become, it has reduced. Do you know how Google used to hire? In San Francisco, in US, in Google, or in the Silicon Valleys, back in the 90s when they first established and early 2000, they used to have hoardings, big hoardings, wherein they used to write a problem. Anybody can note that problem, and they were encouraged, if you have the solution, send us via email. And they used to send it via email. And then, if the solution is correct, it was a coding problem of XYZ, mathematical problem or equation solving and stuff. If it is correct, you get a call from Google office to attend their interviews. This is a very unique method of recruiting. And by doing this, Google attracted the world-class people in their employment. World-class people. They used to always look out for something unique. I myself was, I had been a part of, in my campus, I got recruited, I got finally selected for Google. Could not join because of, I was not interested in recruitment. But I could always see that they were always looking for something unique. Now, most of the organizations are in lookout for people who are unique. And how do you become unique, my friend? You become unique when you tell the organization how would you solve their problem, the organization would love you. They would love you. Instead of talking about I am good in Java, I am good in C++, I am good in XYZ, or I am good in HR, I would say, you know what? I've researched your organization. This is what it is. Out of my previous experience, and I did a research here, I have a customized solution. Given an opportunity, I would be able to work on this. Companies and organizations would love it. This is the story, or this is something that you need to create about yourself. Any other questions? Any doubts?
So,
Yes.
one more question. Like, apart from storytelling, apart from verbal communication, like some people when they enter, even you entered on the stage, you can feel that charisma that this guy is going to speak something different from the. How did you stand up? How did you build that charisma in you?
Thanks for the compliment, Ajita. But it comes out of experience. It comes out of the amount of knowledge that you carry. It comes out of your confidence. It comes out of your overall conduct. It comes out of how confident you are and how much knowledgeable you are in whichever topic you're giving a presentation. It comes out of the knowledge or the confidence that you can transform, not inspire, but transform the life of people with whom you interact for whatever little amount of time that you have. And it is not magic. It is not magic. Friends, public speaking or effective communication is not magic. Nobody learns it from the womb of mother. You learn it out of experience, out of practice. Somebody asked Sachin Tendulkar, how do you know when you play a shot? How do you know that you have to play a shot like this? Because imagine Shoaib Akhtar bowling at a speed of whatever, 100, 120, 130. How do you know? Ball to fatak se nikal jata hai bhai. How do you know? He says it comes out of instinct, out of practice. Communication is just like that. Storytelling, story showing is just like that. You got to practice. Okay, thank you very much for being a patient audience. Thank you very much, friends. And yeah, it's showtime now. Thank you very much.